All right, I sent away for these QuickTracks for the RSO. Now these are a little bit different than the ones that come with the kit in that they have a Ice Grouser right there.
Before we get into the comparison itself, it's worth talking about the spacing and the layout of the RSO tracks, because this is one of those details that's easy to overlook but really defines whether the finished run looks right.
So let's take a look.
On the real vehicle, the track pitch and spacing were fixed by design and carefully regulated. According to the RSO parts listings from 1943, each vehicle carried 138 track links, with the Ice Grousers fitted in a specific pattern rather than randomly. You had 15 Ice Grousers per side, left and right, and they were spaced evenly along the run, so traction was predictable in snow and ice. They weren't clustered together, and they weren't every link either. That regular spacing is what gives the track run its visual rhythm, and when it's wrong, the eye picks up on it immediately, even if you can't quite explain why. That's where consistency becomes such a big deal when you're choosing tracks for a model. If the pitch drifts even slightly as you go along, or if the spacing between special links, like Ice Grousers, isn't uniform, the whole run can start to look sloppy or toy-like.
So I guess these parts are the Grousers. They come in a separate bag, right and left. And then you have all these other ones that are just the normal ones, I guess. Now, these ones, I guess, snap together, so let's take a look at them.
Just trying to get familiar with these links. At first, it seems a little awkward, but eventually I get the hang of it.
So unlike the Panzer Art ones, Panzer Work ones, these don't have a little pin.
The design mechanism to keep these together is pretty simple. On the front, there are two dimples, and on the back, there are two little nipples. On the real RSO, those links sat square, evenly spaced, and aligned so the Grousers met the ground at the same angle every time the track rotated. Translating that into scale means that you want every link to behave the same way, especially around the sprocket and idler, where spacing errors are most obvious. What you're looking at here are the QuickTracks snap-together resin tracks compared directly to the standard mini-art kit tracks, and the difference really comes down to consistency versus effort. The mini-art tracks are actually quite accurate in overall shape and proportion, and if you take the time, clean every link properly, and keep everything perfectly aligned, they can look very good. The problem is that over a long run, even tiny alignment errors start to show, especially around the drive sprocket. Another thing that really bothers me about link and length tracks that come with kits is that when you go to paint them, they often, because the glue isn't properly in contact with all areas of where the tracks come together, things have a tendency to fall apart, and that can be a bit frustrating. You can see here on these printed tracks just how thin you can get with 3D printing. You can see here too that with the ability of 3D printing, you can add a lot more detail, such as the forging numerals and lettering that is not present in the mini art track. that's pretty simple. The detail is really nice on these. They're so thin in some areas. It's amazing. Another thing I really like about using single link printed tracks is that they are completely movable within a realistic range, genuinely mimic how real tracks behave. They naturally fall into place under their own weight, just like the real thing. When you build link and length tracks, the process can be quite clumsy. You have to be very precise with the glue, and you need to make sure the track run follows the suspension and running gear correctly. Even then, things can look crooked, even when you are sure you get it right. With these QuickTracks, because they are fully workable, they settle naturally and look right without any effort. Another issue with glued tracks is that once you have assembled them and fitted them to the running gear, removing them for painting later can be risky. They often begin to come apart because the glue did not fully bond with every joint. That is simply one of those things that tends to happen, no matter how careful you are. At first, you saw me trying to handle them in midair and click them together, but that really isn't ideal. The best approach is to use a solid platform to build them on, like this small sheet of MDF that I use. So there's a little tab on this side. So I think this, yeah, right there. So this is that goes towards the hull, that one. You can also see that some of these printed links have casting marks. They are subtle and difficult to see at the moment, but later, when I paint the tracks, I will pick those details out so they are more noticeable. While these tracks do add to the overall cost of the build, I think the added accuracy makes them worthwhile. You get proper casting marks and numerals, the ability to handle the tracks later while painting without them falling apart, and most importantly, they hang and sag naturally over the road wheels under the effect of gravity. Oh, I should have put that on the other end. Yeah, and then we can put this one there. With link and length tracks, things can get messy. The glue can melt more plastic than intended, spacing between the links can become inconsistent, and some links end up closer together while others are farther apart. So there you go, you got a 5 and a 4. So that's how I'm going to proceed. I'm going to do 4 and 5 links, and then you can just pop them in. Over the years, I've developed a technique where instead of building one long run all at once, I assemble them in smaller sections. Typically, I'll put together groups of 5 links at a time. In this case, I'll assemble 5 links, then I'll add one of the Ice Grouser links. I'll repeat this so I end up with several 5-link groupings. Once I have those sections ready, I'll snap 2 of the 5-link sections together to create a longer run. I'll do the same with another set of 5 and continue working this way until everything eventually comes together into one complete track run. As you can see while I'm putting these links together, the resin they're printed with has a surprising amount of elasticity. It'll flex and bend as you fight to get everything lined up and clicked into place. But it doesn't turn brittle or snap on you. It behaves more like a tough plastic, so it can take a bit of manhandling during assembly without breaking. So as you can see, I start by knocking together these little groups of links, 5, 6, whatever the math works out to at the moment. Then I snap those mini sections together to make a larger chunk, usually about 12 links at a time. After that, those sections get married to each other, doubling the length again, and before you know it, you've got a full-length run that covers one complete side of the RSO. There's even a few leftovers, just in case. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap this little demo up of these awesome individually 3D printed tracks for the RSO. They are amazing. So, in the meantime and in between time, that's another edition of Jet Scale Models. Y'all come back now, you hear?